This is Unpivot, the show for Excel and Power BI fans and anyone who loves chatting about data. I'm Wyn Hopkins.
I'm Mark Proctor.
I'm Sue Bays.
And I'm Cristian Angyal. Glad to be here again.
Yay.
Right, hold on. Oh, wait for it, everybody. Wait for it. Not quite as smooth as I was hoping. Here we go.
From Romania, does Power BI excel at heart? He's a data geek. Welcome, Cristian, our guest of the week.
I was not expecting that. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Welcome, Cristian. Because you were one of our early guests, we think you are our first guest, and I don't think we were doing jingles for guests at that point, so you missed out.
No, but
So
thank
there
you.
Go.
And
Jingle.
the theme matches my haircut.
Absolutely good metal hair. Good metal hair.
And I would say for anyone who's listening to the podcast, you should go and watch that on YouTube. For anyone that Wyn has heard this music before, his air drumming was like it's like there was no timing whatsoever. It's as if he was listening to a different song to the rest of us.
I blame the camera.
Do you like doing these, Wyn?
Yeah, sort of. Well, it depends on how good the AI thing gets it right. Sometimes it's just frustratingly annoying. And actually, it took about 3 goes for Cristian, so I was pretty happy.
So
it depends on how many goes.
I need to know how to do it. So I want to do one for my podcast, and you're very, very good at it.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just Suno AI.
Yeah.
I went for the freebie one, but you've only got basically about 7 goes for free. So
Okay.
Limited tries.
And then
What do you have to do? Do you have to give it the lyrics and tell it what type of?
Yeah, give it the lyrics. What type of genre do you want? I tried 90s Europop, didn't work. And then you can also even get it to write lyrics for you, with its AI thing if you just put in a topic. But no, there you go.
I like that.
So,
That's brilliant.
Suno AI. So we should let people know that Giles is not here. He is in Vegas, baby. I think.
Vegas.
Yeah. Excel World Champs.
Yep.
He was trying to get a last place qualifier, I think maybe the day before yesterday. I'm guessing he didn't get a last place qualifier because it must have been the day before yesterday, because yesterday he was in the commentary booth with Oz du Soleil, also a previous guest. But I'm guessing he didn't make it into the final rounds, or else he wouldn't be commentating, would he? Because that would be, you can't do 2 things at once. You can't be on the World Championships and commentate on them at the same time.
He'd try that.
Unless you are dim and you can comment.
Dim early probably could,
Yeah, dim early.
Yeah. It's been
Not calling Giles dim, but it's a whole other thing.
It's been all over LinkedIn, hasn't it? I saw a picture of Giles furiously concentrating in his white jacket.
Furiously concentrating in a fur coat.
In Vegas.
I did see some photos of a lot of people there, all competing. It's like a lot. So I was surprised that there were that many there. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, me too.
Sort of poker tournaments, where you just have the massive rounds of people playing at the early stages. Just whittles it down.
True. I was watching them on LinkedIn, and it surprised me how popular Excel became as an esport.
No, it's getting around. I see people from the BBC posting about it, and a few other. They're doing a good job marketing it, I think, getting the word out. Intriguing, right? So it's good. Cristian, do you want to give a very brief 30-second intro, just to let people know who you are as well, if they don't already?
Sure. Cristian Angyal from Romania. Just like the song said, I'm an Excel geek that discovered the Power BI back in 2014, before it was Power BI. So Power BI designer.
Oh yes,
been here in the space since the beginning, and in 2021 during COVID, as we didn't have a user group in Romania, decided to build our own user group here in Romania, celebrating 5 years in February.
Wow,
Oh,
brilliant. And you've been pretty consistent, really, haven't you, with your sessions and things as well? I'm always seeing them popping up. I feel a bit sort of guilty.
Twice a month. Since 2 years, it's twice a month. Well,
wow.
not as consistent as Sue, which is doing 4 a month. But,
impressive.
Still trying.
Every week.
Impressive.
We had Kane from your neck of the woods this week, Win. Kane Snyder. So
rings a bell.
Yeah, he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So he did a session for us, a really practical session on hours. If you're working out time, there's a reporting requirement, which is just so incredibly valuable to give an idea of costing, but can be very complex with the way that different people timesheets are captured. So it was a really practical session. It was brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah, I missed it, but I'll need to watch it. I have a project that's coming, so I will need that.
Yeah. Time is always challenging.
Now, this is going to be a terrible story that I shouldn't even start because it's only half a story. But I needed some help with something the other day, and I Googled it, and one of your videos popped up, Sue, and it was actually helpful.
Mine?
But I can't remember what it was, so hence it's a terrible story. But yeah.
I was presenting, or one of my user group ones.
I think it was you presenting at your user group.
Oh, okay. I'm not very good at recording myself. I keep thinking, why didn't I record that, or why didn't I blog on that? So I need to get so much better on doing it.
Yeah. Right, let's get into some news. Has anybody else got any news? I've got a couple of things I want to witter on about.
Go in.
Okay, sorry, what's that, Cristian?
You first.
Me first. Okay. So I saw that, with great regret, that Q&A in Power BI is going to be deprecated. So, farewell the Q&A feature, which was always a lovely one for demos, but never actually practice. I don't know. Did anybody ever do anything with it in real life?
Nope.
Shaking heads.
And it's deprecating in 1 year time.
Yeah, it's just
only next year in December.
I don't know if they're going to get rid of the button for sooner than that, but any existing things will be gone, I think. Sorry, any existing things will keep working, but and it's being replaced with Copilot, which interestingly they teased that there may be some sort of individual Copilot plan for pro users. Because currently you need Fabric to get Copilot. So deprecating that feature and not replacing it with something that an individual can sign up for.
A kind of PPU for Copilot?
Yeah, maybe. So that would be interesting to see. And then what was one of the other ones? I don't even know if this is good or not, but they've introduced shortcuts in Fabric to SharePoint, which I was sort of immediately quite excited about. And then when I thought about it, I thought, why would I ever actually use it? So shortcuts in Fabric, you can basically just point at a SharePoint folder and it'll replicate it. Well, but it doesn't even replicate it because it's not a mirrored copy. It's just it appears in your Fabric workspace type lakehouse, all the contents, but there's not actually any files and data there. It's all just sort of sitting still in SharePoint. So it's almost like a redirect. That's my understanding of shortcuts. Whereas mirroring is copying stuff. Has anybody got any further insight than that, or why it would be good to have a shortcut?
I guess it gives you visibility. I haven't seen it, but if it gives you that visibility as to pick out which folder in SharePoint you might be using.
No, because then it's all there.
Yeah, it can be. I know your session, your video on it, on how to get files from SharePoint is incredibly popular and useful. So sometimes I remember when we first started using it, it was quite difficult to work out where to get the files from SharePoint. And so maybe if it gives you a better user access for newer people, that might be quite helpful.
Yeah, all in the one spot. But yeah, I guess if it was a copy and it just lived in the lakehouse, then you could query that quicker. But I don't know about.
It should be faster if it's
reckon?
in one lake.
Yeah,
but with shortcuts, considering the speed of the connector, the SharePoint connector, I wouldn't be too surprised if it's going slow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to test it out. So I started playing. I was like, right. So that's a couple from me. Anybody else got anything? Any other things they've seen this week or last couple of weeks?
So I did for the ICAEW, who is the UK, well, not UK, England and Wales. So the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. So not the UK, just England and Wales. They had a Power Query Q&A session, which I was on. There were two of us on it earlier this week. It was on Tuesday. So it was just a whole load of Power Query questions just fired at us with 500 other people sat there listening to our answers.
Wow.
Is it recorded somewhere?
It was recorded. My guess is that it'll be kept inside the ICAEW Excel community, so it won't be publicly available. But because you don't know what questions you're going to get, and that's always the challenge. So normally when I do Q&A sessions, it's just me. So therefore, it's kind of, if somebody asks a question, like, I just need to go and get some data, I need to fake up some data, and then you spend, some time faking up some data before you can even then get to the answer. But when there's two of you, it's great because it's like you can hand over to somebody else, look through the questions, you could then fake up an answer while. So it worked quite well. We've got some nice feedback, and the biggest, the question, I suppose the questions I think that came out the most were kind of it's all about, what happens when column names change, and, you can rename them by position, but what happens if then the position isn't consistent? How do you then handle that scenario? So yeah, it was a fun session. So if anyone is a member of the ICAEW, they can go and watch that, and the answer about names changing is right there. So that was on Tuesday. And then earlier this week into our community, I released, so we've got an add-in that's called the Flip add-in, which is for storing custom number formats. The first version I created was back in 2016. So 9 years later, I've now released version 2. And that's not because version 1 was, it's not because version 1 was awesome. Version 1 wasn't that good. It was a case of it just kept being parked and then something else came along. So
there you go. So it is awesome now then.
It's much more awesomer than the previous version, without a doubt.
More fabulous.
Yes.
Did you see that Power Query Online can do some more refreshing as well now in Excel Web? So Power Query Online can now refresh to SharePoint and other authenticated sources in the web.
Yes, that's about
a step towards it.
I need to try that.
What was that? Sorry.
So I think that was about a couple of months ago that came out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I just noticed it the other day again. Somebody else had talked about it as well, and I think there was something on a forum, and somebody was asking about like schedule refreshing of Excel for web, which I don't know. I don't think the Excel team, it's in their interest to enable Power Automate to refresh Power Query Online. Do you think? I don't know if it'll ever do it because it's competing with Power BI, then, right?
I think. Well, so I don't think it will happen through Power Automate because I don't think because you think so. I think it will happen through Office scripts, as in.
Nice.
Because I don't think the Power Automate team are. What are there? There's 10, 15 actions that you can do on an Excel workbook, and the majority of those are kind of add a table, add a record, delete a record, or update a record. So I think most of those actions are all about if you want to use Excel in your overall flow, and you can use Excel as like a pseudo database. It's just a place to store stuff and read stuff to and from. But I think which is also why when you want to write records to an Excel workbook, if you use Power Automate, it'll write each record individually, and it can take, if you've got 10,000 records to write, it can take like half a day or something. It's really slow. But through Office scripts, I think that's the way that they'll handle it. That you'll make effectively you'll run your Office script from Power Automate. That script will then say go and refresh Power Query. So I think that's how they'll do it, because the Office scripts team is, I don't quite know how it's structured, but they are part of the overall Excel team. So there is an element of they can keep that inside Excel without them having to borrow too much of resources from other teams. I'm sure they are borrowing resources from other teams, because you've got APIs and a whole load of other stuff that I'm sure they have to deal with. But equally, it's much more contained.
Yeah. It will eat into some Power BI scenarios once they enable that, because that schedule refresh concept is a differentiator for Power BI. So I'm just wondering.
Besides security,
that's the next. Yeah, then it's the security thing is again the big differentiator then, isn't it? Really, for people dealing with 100,000 records, 200,000 records, stuff like that. When you don't really need Power BI for smaller data sets if you're just sharing and printing reports and stuff like this. So,
but often in terms of that security piece, because even if you've got smaller data sets, if you've got accounting information and you've got some cost center reports, and the people from sales and marketing aren't allowed to see the legal cost center, so that's the piece where I don't think Excel will ever introduce row level security or any of that stuff that exists in Power BI. So that's where I think there is a definite benefit in Power BI, because even if you've got a scheduled refresh in Excel, if you have these different cost centers, you'd have to replicate that report for each cost center and then schedule those things. You've got a whole load of mess going on. It would be possible, but it would be a mess. But in Power BI, obviously, you've got your one source of the truth, and people just view different. They just view their slice of the one source of.
Yeah, I had projects with 5,000 records with HR and also finance that everybody was supposed to see only their own data. So I had to build them in Power BI with row level security.
Yeah, yeah. Which comes on to another point that I sort of cropped up a few times this week, which is about people asking about page level security, which there isn't such a thing, right? So and then Chris Webb did a post as well after he also had a bit of a sort of back and forth with myself and Jeff Weir on Blue Sky, talking about what's secure. Like Jeff was complaining about not having page level security, so he's got to build separate reports and things. And it wasn't that the data needed to be secure; it was that it was just a pain, because one lot of people wanted to see one lot of report pages, and another lot of people wanted to see another lot off the same model. He just wanted to build it all in one and just hide a few pages from different people. So there's hacks and workarounds to do that, but it's not secure if you need it to. But some people think it is. So some people think that hiding the page is then secure, which I never thought that. But then what I hadn't thought of was my alternative to that, the secure approach that I would have thought of or applied in the past, was you build thin reports.
Yeah.
Of the data
model. One semantic model and separate reports.
Yeah. But technically that's not actually secure either, because if somebody knows what they're doing with all the under the hood tech and sort of HTML weird stuff and hacking into the system behind it, you can actually potentially get access and rewrite some of the queries to give you data from other tables and other measures that you haven't got access to. So the only security is row level security and object level security that you can, which is just nasty, because all your visuals break if you use it and you're not entitled to anything. So even thin reports aren't secure in terms of really locked down secure.
Really
just secure by the fact that it's just too hard to try and hack. a bit like changing the sort of, what's it called, the salt thing in Excel, sort of when you put sort of security on an Excel file and stuff, you can go and change the hash or whatever it's called. I'll speak in a video on it. It's just like, if you know what you're doing, you can get around it.
I think from an Excel perspective, the only one that is reasonably secure is the file open password, because that does encrypt the workbook. But even then, if you haven't got a particularly strong password, you can pay $30 and get a service that you upload it to a service, and then within an hour, even less. I did some tests with some fake workbooks, and within 4 minutes, it was back in my inbox going, there you go, all passwords now removed. So,
very secure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just, as soon as someone's got, with Excel, as soon as someone's got access to the workbook, they've effectively got an infinite number of opportunities to guess the password. It's just whether how big's their server? Have they got enough time to try and hack this? When at least with web-based access, if they start to see these constant requests on username and other things coming on, there's actions that are taken by security that will mean that those attempts are then closed down, etc., etc. When with Excel, once someone's got a file, they've got an infinite number of opportunities to guess a password.
Yeah.
So one of the sort of password issues that I came across was like just the sheet password, right? Which was just, you can hack with crazily like 7 lines of VBA, which if the password isn't long, it's just like one little routine. I had a button on my little menu ribbon, so that was terrible. But then also the discovery way back when Power Query can actually pull in very hidden sheets. So you just go, hold on. So this sort of obfuscation thing I did in the past, where I just used to very hide sheets, thinking I was being clever, and then sort of protect all the sheets and stuff like this, protect the workbook. Power Query can just pull all those sheets in. So
but on the other hand, if you want to protect your code in Power Query, you are not able to do it. So it's
there is no lock on Power Query. So I think it's one of those requests on the user voice, lock Power Query, lock the data model, all that sort of stuff. But again, why would Microsoft invest in that when they've got alternative, more secure solutions now?
Yeah.
I think it's that piece around what is an application, because people use Excel to build an application, but it's actually not. It's it's still a spreadsheet environment. It's not really a standalone application, but people often, it's because it's such a ubiquitous, is that the right phrase, universal tool, therefore it's easy to do those things and share them, but it's not really an application platform. And once you've got Power Apps, which is available now, it's not like Microsoft are going to invest anymore in turning Excel into an application platform, because they really want people to use Power Apps where they've got their annual fee and their monthly fee for this application existing. So, and I think with VBA, because Microsoft is, first they say, hey, we're not updating it, and then they start bit by bit, things start disappearing and other security features come in. So that in the 90s, well, I suppose even in the 2000s, that was what people did. If you wanted to do that, you became really good at VBA. You had your user forms and everything else, and that's how you could create applications. But now that's kind of being taken away, so that's no longer an option.
Yep, true. And speaking about Power Automate, and coming back to what Win said earlier about SharePoint, yes, your video on SharePoint is bookmarked on my PC too. But I had a problem, and I spent some time this week, so actually 2 days, trying to figure out a way how to improve the speed of getting data from a SharePoint list.
Yeah.
And SharePoint list or SharePoint files?
SharePoint lists.
Okay.
So I found a certain method using APIs somewhere on the net, on the web, and try to adapt it for SharePoint list to get anything from a list. And as a news, I managed to do it yesterday. I finished, so I have a custom function where you can put only your SharePoint site and the name of the list, and you get all the data just like this. The only problem was that I had no SharePoint list with more than 10,000 records or 5,000. So I had to build one with Power Automate. I had to create a list of 13,000 records and see how fast it is. And it took me some hours to insert more than 10,000 records. But now, using APIs, I moved it a little bit further. And in the first go, I'm taking all the SharePoint lists, and the details for each of the lists is just a table inside the record with the table with all the lists there. So in one go, you just put your SharePoint site and you get all the details for all the lists there. So I'll try to share it on LinkedIn in the next few days, and maybe we can improve it if some other people are trying it with different SharePoint lists.
So you saw oh, sorry. So I'm just going to finish off saying, so you saw like a noticeable speed improvement, Cristian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 6 times faster than connecting directly to the SharePoint list with many records. I still need to test it with more complicated lists because I only have 2 columns in the one that I've built. But it will take me some days to build a list with Power Automate.
But
isn't there some? Sorry, I keep cutting you off, Sue. Isn't there some? Apologies. Isn't there like a 20,000 row paging limit or something on SharePoint?
5,000 paging limit.
Okay. I knew there was something, but I didn't know what. Sorry, Sue. I'll shut up now.
I had to create the list using Power Automate, and just like Mark said earlier, it takes forever. So in preparing the list, I will have to do it during the weekend and leave the PC working overnight, and then I can test it thoroughly.
I've used lists and brought them into BI, and it's not been too much of an issue. But you can import Excel into SharePoint lists.
Don't tell him that, Sue.
There is a limit. You cannot import Excel or CSVs more than 5,000 records. I tried to do it, and the interface will not allow you. So I had to create it directly with Power Automate and go row by row and set up the flow and everything. But I'll try to find a way during the weekend to build a proper list.
If they're capping it at a certain limit, then it would make me think that there's a reason for that. So is SharePoint list then the correct place to store what you're storing? Would be my question.
It depends. There are customers that are using Power Automate and store there. So as far as I was reading during the last few days, there is a limit of 30 million records in a SharePoint list. The SQL behind it can store up to 30 million.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there were customers having so much data. I don't know.
I've used it quite a lot, and not quite a lot, but for a few things. There's to write back to BI, so that you have like a Power, an app that they fill in Power BI, which then writes back to a SharePoint list, which then the SharePoint list then feeds back into BI for a write back, and that seemed quite good. I do remember, being able to import into it, but it wouldn't be more than 5,000 records.
Yeah, I'm also using it for the raffle that we have at the user group. So in the same Power BI report, I'm getting data from a SharePoint list where a Power Automate is writing, and with the Power Apps, I'm writing back the winners of the raffle. So and it's working fine, but it's only 1,000 records, something like this.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Power Query piece, so you can get to So from a SharePoint list, you can read, or you can get more than 5,000 records, but effectively you have to page through.
Yep.
Each of those, you have to page to each of those pages that has got a limit of 5,000. So if you've got your 13,000, you've got to read the first 5,000, then go to the next page and read the next one, and then
no pagination. Otherwise, it's not working. You hit the limit.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Python. Because Python, that's what I tend to use. If I'm doing APIs generally can be quite, they're capped at a certain page level and certain number of rows, and you have to paginate, and it becomes quite complex. Whereas Python has got different libraries that are purely written for APIs, which make something that can be quite painful in Power Query. Because I love Power Query. I use Power Query every day. I really value Power Query, but there are certain things that it's not as easy to do in Power Query, and APIs are one of them. So if the libraries that are set up in Python for APIs are so much more powerful than Power Query.
True. And you got a very good intro sessions for beginners, noobs like me.
Yes,
so it was on my list for this year, but I think it's one of the things that will be moved for 2026. Python.
Yeah, and actually, you can get your LLM of choice to help you with that. I don't think I've got anything published on Python. There'll be something in, something somewhere.
You'd have to run that in a Fabric workspace, right, Sue?
Yeah, either in Fabric or horrible consultant answer. It depends. You can install Python on your machine for free. So you can use Python completely for free. And you've also got Google. Google's got its own Python. I can't remember what it's called. Someone will pop it in the chat, which is brilliant, that you can use. I'll pop it in the chat or in the notes, which is absolutely brilliant at using Python for free. But the point to consider is that play in Google with data that isn't secure. But if you want your data secure, then you have to use it within Fabric or think about how you're capturing and using that data outside of the secure environment, because Fabric's got all of Microsoft on Entra surrounding it. So it means the data that you're using, if it's coming from a lakehouse and you're using it in Python, it's not going out of the Microsoft environment. But Python is free. It's completely free. It's open source. And the Google version of Python is really, really good. But your data's not secure.
I've seen Owen Price doing Python in Excel, and I was totally impressed.
Yeah,
have you tried it in Excel?
Yes, I have had a look at it in Excel. But I'm not saying anything because I could probably get it technically wrong. But I think there are limitations to. I think there's the way that it's set up in Excel. I'm not saying anything because I got it wrong.
You're playing safe.
Brian Julius will tell you it's. It's something about where it's stored locally. I'm sure the data is completely secure, but it's the way that it works. There's something to do with the way that it works. And I haven't played with it enough.
With Python Excel, they've also reduced down the libraries so that you've only got the libraries that so you've got libraries, but then even within those libraries, they have removed certain commands that they deem to be that might be insecure. So, for example, you can't read a CSV file. You can't read an Excel workbook using, I think it's probably pandas or NumPy or something, whichever one it is. Those connectors or those commands don't exist because Microsoft decided that if you're going to get external data, they wanted it to come through Power Query because they couldn't control or they couldn't have security around where people were pulling data from and what they were doing. Brilliant. So they took out a lot of possible libraries that people could install, which means I think it's very much about calculation and it's about visualization and it's less about working with processes. So therefore, I think your best bet is then to use Python locally, because then you've got access to all the libraries that you want. But for a lot of companies, I'm guessing that Python then comes with, just like companies have said, hey, we don't want to use VBA anymore, it's too risky. The thought that you're then going to go, why don't you use Python? Here's now this thing that you've installed locally, and you can install libraries that do anything.
Yeah.
There's also an element of security that comes with that. What's the point of replacing, if users have been using VBA and you've decided it's too risky, they go, why don't you move across to Python? Which means you need people who have got knowledge and skills. So I suspect that's going to be reduced down to the people who actually know what they're doing. Because if a regular user would say, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that, they can cause a whole load of
mess. And I think it's Python is much easier to understand than VBA for me ish, and for a lot of younger people, because they're taught it at school, so it becomes and looking at it. But you're absolutely right, Mark. If you have one of the big things in the data world is pandas and NumPy, and pulling in CSVs and be able to transform them and make them into the format that you need. And if you can't do that within Excel, then that really handicaps what you can do, or limits what you can do. Sorry, wrong word. But you can perfectly understand why Microsoft have limited that, because the security, you could put anything into your Excel document that could bring anything in, and so you can understand the reasons why. And using Power Query enables you to have the authentication, but it's a bit of and that's the great thing about having Python in Fabric, is because it's secure. It's all set up with a Microsoft. And when I initially found out about it, I was just like, oh no, that's not going to work. Why would you do that? Because Fabric's really expensive. But it doesn't have to be expensive. I've got a couple of customers on F2s, which I just turn on and off when I want to run something. So it doesn't have to cost a huge amount. So just don't think, it's this big beast that only works for corporate and it's going to cost me $3.5 grand. It doesn't necessarily have to do that. But you do then have to have the skills and knowledge to understand what you're doing.
Can I share a great story about security that I heard at the Bulgaria conference?
Yeah.
So Mike Koss, who was the person from who was one of the original Excel developers, he also worked on the Outlook team when that was being developed, and he said that in the original version of Outlook, you couldn't just you didn't just have the option to send like emails or pictures. You could also send code that would run itself on the recipient's PC.
No.
Yeah, so the original version apparently shipped with, you could write code that would, when someone opened the email, it would run automatically. And he's like, this was great for sharing. This was it was so good, because then people didn't have to worry about copying and pasting stuff. They just opened the email, it would just run and it'd be brilliant. And he said then as soon as the first problem came along, it's like, yeah, we need to take that out.
Even macros are being blocked now.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. The Google thing is Google Colab. I'd really, if you're interested in Python, just a little bit interested, just spend an hour playing with it, and you'll be surprised at what you can achieve. It's all supported by Gemini as well, so it helps you.
I saw Brian Jones, Excel sort of head of the Excel team, posting about the Excel frontier model, which is the agent mode in Excel, saying that you can now pick your model, whether you can pick an Anthropic model if you want to. My understanding is, though, that your data is then, as Sue was talking about with Google, is that your data is then exposed externally potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm wrong about that now, but I thought that was the case. So
no, that's right.
Yeah.
You need a bit of a caveat then, don't you? It's just like, hey, there's this Copilot thing, you can use this, But you can use these other,
Yeah.
and it's just a drop-down box.
Yeah.
I don't know if a warning pops up or anything if you do that to say, are you definitely allowed? But all the expectation then is on the admins to disable all this stuff and stuff. And how many companies really have admins all over these things? It's just must be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I think it will getting worse. It will get even worse. So many models, so many options, and
well, we just got asked sort of to potentially present in a session for some accountants next year, and they want us to do, the whole session is going to be AI focused. It's like, oh, all right, but like, what do you present in a workshop that people can follow along? Because that's what we've always done in the past, is workshops, like 2 or 3 hours where people play along. And it was always bad because people didn't have the right version of Excel, so they didn't have XLOOKUP, or they didn't have something else, or they'd bought their Mac, so the stuff doesn't work and things. Now we're adding in, you've got to have a license, it's got to be Frontier mode, you've got to have this Python thing to it. I don't think
and the answers won't necessarily be the same. We had someone present on our YouTube about agents, and he said, it's, and it was brilliant because he just said, it's like talking to someone will give you an answer, and if you ask them again in 5, if I'm not listening, so what did you say again, and then they'll repeat, it might be, it will be the same thing but not exactly the same. So that's going to be fun in training.
So no idea what
I'm
doing.
Good luck with that, Win.
I actually presented when I went over to the States. I did a workshop, and it was part of a session on talking about AI and things to think about. And I'm giving another part of a webinar talk about AI and the difference between AI and automation and what you need to consider. And so I think people are just really want some guidance on how it's moving forward. So I think probably with the training, it might not be the right answers, but it's about framing the question and giving the context. I mean, that's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Guess what I found out last week or this week? When you do Teams, and when whoever's presenting, in the bottom left-hand corner, it has their name. Whoever, if they share their screen, their name comes up in the bottom left-hand corner. There's a little plus and minus there. So if you want to zoom in on their screen, there's a little plus and minus next to the name, which you can zoom in and see what they're presenting. Without having to ask them to zoom in a bit, you can zoom in yourself.
Yeah, you can do it with your mouse scroll too. Go with Control mouse scroll.
It was just like, I didn't know you could do that in Teams.
I didn't know either.
No.
There you go. Yeah, Control mouse wheel. Control Shift plus Power Query.
Yeah.
And I found out something that might be useful for whoever is using VS Code. Control Shift plus works in VS Code, zooming in and out.
Zoom in as well. Lovely. Good tip. That's why we got you on here, Cristian, for the tips. It's done. Right, I think we better get on to question of the week.
We haven't done we've done your news, Mark's news, and then we've just been chatting. But I
don't know if there's any other. Was there any other news folks wanted to mention? Let's get into it.
No.
Cool.
Question of the week. I've got a whole page.
Cool. Right, let's go.
It's a question, it's a question, it's the question of the day. It's a question, it's a question, it's the question of the day.
Right, question of the day then. So when you open a file for the first time, what are the red flags that it was built by someone who may be not quite as experienced as they should be? Let's put it politely. So what are your red flags? This could be a Power BI file, an Excel file, or any file, really. Mark is in. Oh, Mark's got a question.
No. So I was going to say the first, you right click, if it's an Excel file, right click, go to properties. If it doesn't say my name on it, that means you can't trust it. I think that's the thing. It's, has it been built by somebody who doesn't know anything? Well, if it's not you, then yes, probably. Has it it doesn't have to be me, but as in if it's not built by you,
Yes.
then
Yes.
it's always going to have some things that you're like, why have you done that? Although fair, even a workbook that I built, I'll come back a week later, like, why have I done that?
I was gonna say,
True.
past me isn't present me. Great, past me,
Yes.
maybe not so much. All right, who wants to kick off? Let's sort of like a rapid fire type thing. Let's go around a few ideas.
Can
Sue,
I
go on
just
then.
do my list and you can?
Oh, you're going to do the whole list. Oh, all right then. Let's do that way. Oh, she's got a list.
All right. First thing, the numbers are wrong. So if I open it and they say it looks really nice, but the numbers are wrong, I think, oh no. The other key one is it won't refresh. It won't refresh, or it's taken forever to refresh, and it's taken hours. I think, oh no. Model view. When I open up the model view, it shows all the tables. If that's a mess, if it's not ordered. If I've got many to many in there. If it's, I like it when it's set up by page, depending on what's going in.
Okay.
If there's copies of tables that's in there, in Power Query, if there isn't a Power Query being used, I had one that the person didn't know that Power Query existed. So there was no Power Query in there at all.
Oh, it's just source navigation done.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing.
Awesome.
If Power Query is not organized, reference, staging, model. If the steps aren't renamed, I like the steps renamed. I like the steps grouped together. If there's, can't even read my writing. If it's not referenced, so they're not reference things. And DAX, if it's really complex, why? If it's not all connected,
double connected, did you say?
Yeah, sometimes you can have lots of different measures for the same thing. So basically, T-shirt best practice analyzer, bang it on there, see what it throws up.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, definitely. I had some of those written down. Data model organized, many to many. Yeah, all those. I also had measures not reusing other measures.
Yes.
Somebody who rewrites the sum of sales in every measure that they use.
Yes.
I'm just a little bit of a red flag. I'm just thinking,
red flag.
You really...
Commenting. If there's no commenting or no descriptions, then that's not great. If there's too much commenting, it's been chucked into an LLM, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be right.
Oh, interesting. Goldilocks of commenting. It's got to be just the right amount. Okay, cool. Good. Mark, do you want to chuck some in?
So mine are more Excel related. In terms of an Excel workbook, if there isn't a sheet called error check, then that's because it means there probably isn't any error checks. So I want a sheet that's called error check or errors or something like that. Even if there are errors on that sheet that are there, at least that's okay, because at least there's some error checks. If that error check sheet looks like a mess, that's then another red flag. And the fact that someone has put up some error checks, but hasn't bothered to care what those error checks actually are. The next one is the basic structure of the workbook. Have they, going back to I think last week, is there a separation between inputs, data, calculation, and outputs? If there is a separation, then I'm pretty comfortable that somebody has structured things in the right way. If you go into the name manager and you see a lot of named ranges that all have #ref or are linking to workbooks that no longer exist, and somebody's probably taking that's a workbook that has gone through now being something completely different, which then makes you wonder what it's used for, what it was used for previously, and how much have they managed to change of what it was. If you go to name manager and it's all nicely named, things appear to exist, then I'm quite happy. I would look for hidden and very hidden sheets, not because I'm perfectly fine that if somebody hides or very hides sheets, but do those sheets make sense that they are the hidden sheets? Or have they just gone, this is junk, right click, hide it? I would look outside. I would look outside of the print ranges to see where they've got additional workings. Look at the scroll bars. If they've got like the tiny little scroll bar thing, because someone's accidentally typed something at the bottom, and therefore that hasn't been cleared, and therefore you've got this tiny scroll bar, that means that who knows what else is on that workbook. I would check that formatting looks consistent. I know that's just something can look nice without actually being nice, but if somebody's taken the time to make sure the formatting looks consistent, there's a good chance that they're taking care of other things. I would say if it's data analysis, I want to see things in tables. If it's not in a table, then I'm concerned. If there's a VLOOKUP in there, there's very few circumstances where you need a VLOOKUP. Yeah, because I mean, as I said before, VLOOKUP is not a function that works with data structures, right? It's a function that works with presentational structures. I'm not saying there can't ever be a VLOOKUP. There just has to be a good reason, because it's not the best formula for handling a data structure.
I agree with you. I'm just not going to say it.
Yeah, and I mean, if someone's used index match, I'm fine with that, or index X match. I mean, that's just an older equivalent, but it's the same thought process. If there's an indirect anywhere, I'm thinking why?
Yes.
Because it basically means they've not structured the workbook in the right way. So they're the things I'm looking for.
Good. Cristian, any comments on that, or any ones to add?
Well, I have a few for Excel and a few for Power BI. So for an Excel, I immediately know that it was done by someone who likes to paint if it's a rainbow formatting everywhere. So
Too many
that is killing me. So as soon as I see more than 3 colors in an Excel file, well, there might be a problem there. Or if I'm checking the file size and I see that I only have 1,000 records, 2,000 records, and the file is 200 megabytes, this is a big signal that there are some unexpected things behind it, formatting or all kind of reference cells or things like this. If there are no tables used, well, there is a big problem. And the easy part to check if there is a table, you just go above A1 in any cell. Press the drop down. If you don't see any name, there is no name range, no table. So if you have 50 different sheets and no table, well, it's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
And considering the Power BI files, first thing that I'm looking, just like so, I'm checking the data model. Either you have a spaghetti data model or one big table, or too many, I don't know, recopied tables. Well, that's a big red flag. Then I'm checking the auto date time. So if that is on, there's a big problem. So in my view, whoever did it didn't know that is the first thing that you uncheck in Power BI. And then I'm also using external tools usually, and lately TE3, but also DAX Studio. DAX Studio is free. There is Vertipack Analyzer there. I'm just checking the data, the entire model, and checking the tables. What I found many times is that either auto date time was not off and you had 80% of the model occupied by hidden date tables, which is a problem, or that was off, so you didn't have hidden tables, but you had tables occupying more than half of the data model because the cardinality was too big, because the hashing and the way columns were, you had too many columns unused, string columns, and this is something that is showing me, well, whoever built it just did the 5 minutes to wow, the beginning, without even knowing a bit further.
It's so critical, like you said, when you pull in the data, it's, it's selecting only what you need, only bring in what you need, columns and rows. So, if you open it and you see there's a table with everything in it, then you think,
columns is the killer for me. It's just like,
columns and rows.
Stand it out, and it's like, scrolling.
Yeah.
It's like,
and they're all, all the numbers have got a sum next to them. Nothing's hidden. The relationships aren't hidden.
And Sue also touched on this. I'm checking the Power Query part. So if you have so many queries without a proper naming, without a proper structure there, it means that you either don't care or you don't know how to do it. And both options are bad. So let's say it nicely.
But I think, to be fair to lots of people, although we're listing all these off, this is because we've been in the space and we've made these errors. So,
true.
I remember doing a dimension table, which I'd built from a whole list of reference Power Queries. It was taking forever. And I still remember vividly sat in listening to Chris Webb's session at a conference or something, where he explained that Power Query reads from the bottom up. So, it's understanding how the technology you work thinks, and then you're able to be better at improving what you do. So that was a big eye opener to me. Understanding how Vertipack works and that Power Query reads from the bottom up. And if you reference something and you have 4 or 5 columns, 4 or 5 tables from it, it doesn't pull the first reference thing in once. It does it for everything that you pull in and feed off it. And I was just like, why would you do that? But because it seemed logical, you reference it and then it makes sense to pull in all the others off it, but it doesn't make any difference.
I still remember 2014-15 when it was not very clear in my head what's M, what's DAX, how everything works. So I remember struggling a bit at the beginning, even to find resources to learn. So my strong advice now is to take a course, at least for the basics, learn the basics, and then move to shiny visuals and all kind of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. My lists are pretty much, so this is the order. You'll see they match with you guys, right? So no tables, merge cells.
Big problem.
No problem if they're used in the right way.
No, good. Okay, lovely. And so then what was the other ones in there? We had no structure, too many colors, repeated tabs. So like January, February, March, April, whatever, like your department A, B, C, separate tab for everything. Worrying. Mega nested if formula. I've seen one, like the worst I ever saw was it literally, you couldn't pull the formula bar down far enough because it was so many nested ifs in there. It was the whole
two screens.
It was just insane. And it was like, I think 2x lookups replaced it. It was just bonkers. Cell styles. Pop open your cell styles, and if there's 5,000 with lots of Chinese characters and other things in there, and you're not Chinese, then it could be a problem. Conditional formatting. Conditional form, manage rules, this sheet, boom, like this horrible mess of 1,700 different broken rules in there. Could be bad. And that happens to me, and I'm meant to know what I'm doing. Data model not organized, Power BI, many-to-manys and bidirectionals everywhere. Too much stuff jammed on a page for the visuals. Just like rammed in, every inch just jammed together with every visual touching each other, just like, and then auto time intelligence and too many columns.
Yes,
those are my sort of same as you guys, really. But like you say, it's sort of we all learn, we all get in there, we all make mistakes. We'll look back at what we did 2 years ago and go, "Oh dear, I really do it that way." Did I?
Is this mine? My ugly baby.
I've had that once with a client that they sent me something and they said, "Oh, can you have a look at this again?" And I went, again, and I opened it and I had no it was mine, but I had no recollection of ever building it, which is a bit of a worry. And so yeah,
nice to when you open up one of yours and it's like, oh, I'm good.
The problem is when it's yours, it's so easy to be a bit lazy because you think, oh, I'm
biased.
This is my format. This is the way I work. This is my style. This is.
Yeah.
But then actually, because all that shifts over time, you get something new, and you're like, who's built this? They know nothing. These aren't the right styles. This isn't how we do it. I didn't build this. And then you're looking at yeah, I did. I just I didn't change. It's like naming conventions. I've switched naming conventions. I'm probably in triple digits now. The number of times I've decided what the best form of naming convention is, and I just changed on such a regular basis that you could probably safely say that I don't have a naming convention because I can't really decide which one's best.
Tables with TBL or T underscore, or what do you use for tables?
In Excel?
Yeah. Excel
Yeah,
tables.
I'm not using any TBL in the front or dim or fact. I'm just trying to keep to one word starting with a capital letter, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Mark would say I'm not Excel. I just give it a name, Win. Nice name.
Yeah.
I think of describing for anything that might be interacted with, I think you've got to use a nice name that will mean something. As soon as you start to put prefixes and stuff on, it takes it away from being a nice name, and people that will see it will be like, what's this? Why does everything start with TBL? But things that people won't interact with, I would use a leading naming convention on. So like in Power Query, the queries that go into like the raw staging, they do have prefixes, but the tables that get loaded don't have prefixes.
Yeah,
same here.
Because I want that to be a name that means something.
Yes,
same here. And I've learned this from Matt Ellington. The data model tables should be something meaningful for the end user.
Yeah.
And the only place in DAX, for example, where I'm using prefixes, it's inside variables. So it's underscore something, so I can reference them easier. But otherwise, I'm trying not to use them.
Yeah. What about measures? My measures? You are my measures table people, or you calculations? Do you not have a measures table?
No, I do. But I've changed. I now put, because it depends upon what the model is. But I do have a measures table. What I tend to do now, though, is I have it within the fact table. So an underscore measures, so it sits at the top.
Like a little folder.
Little folder, and I have a little folder for the columns for filter by, and so I use folders within the tables more for the specific fact table that I'm working on.
No, I'm keeping the measures inside their tables, so I'm never doing a measure table, but I'm having some C# scripts, and I'm always moving all the columns in a folder with underscore columns. So in a table, I have an underscore columns, which is first, and then all the measures. And if I need to split them, I'm doing folders for the measures.
Yes.
And I have a C# script just run on the entire model, and this is it.
One thing that came up yesterday, which I've forgotten about because I haven't done it for ages, was if you do have a My Measures table, which I normally do, and you connect to it to the model with Excel, so Excel connected model pivot table, then if you have a My Measures table, you can't do any drill throughs at all on a pivot table.
Really?
Double click drill through. The measures have to be inside the any fact table or dimension table in the model. You can't be in a disconnected table. So I'd totally forgotten about that, and I was like, why is that not working? Oh, there we go. Move them back into the.
I think that's probably why I changed it a couple of years ago, was because of exactly that.
Yeah, drill throughs and stuff. Yeah.
So it has to be.
As I understood, if you're trying to use AI will never know where is the measure coming from. So it's much easier to have all the measures linked to their fact table.
Interesting.
Helps with the context.
Yes.
Yep.
And as does naming your table sensibly.
Yep.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah. So yeah, it has to be, the measures has to be in one of the linked tables, anywhere in the model that's not disconnected.
So if you were to get some measures and then just randomly link with a field and then just randomly link it in somewhere.
Yeah, I think I've actually tried that in the past. I think I did that in the past, and for some reason it didn't quite work. For some reason,
Okay.
I can't remember. I did have the same thing thought as you.
Probably.
Can I just put ones in every column and ones in this, and just do a many to many or something. But maybe I can't remember. There was something about it that didn't work. But I'll have to try it again now. I'm interested.
6 months, you will ask yourself, who ever did this?
Yeah. What idiot linked this measures table to this using the number ones or the many to many? Yeah, no documentation, nothing. Just leave it there. I'll remember that. It's easy. Were there any other ones?
In 2 years' time, when we talk about red flags, about things that about when you open a file that people look like an idiot, you shouldn't trust a file. When they've got a measures table linked to some other table just so they can force new calculations, whoever does that, they don't know what they're doing.
Let's be honest, none of us really know what we're doing. We're all winging it. But
do you know what I forgot about? And I'm working on a new report for someone. It's really fabulous company, really funny. And I've forgotten how to do time intelligence. I haven't had to do time intelligence for ages. I was like, oh gosh, and then show value for date so that it doesn't go in the future. You forget, don't you? So many things that you I was like, oh, time intelligence.
Do you actually use time intelligence, or because I tend to use like month indexes and week indexes and stuff like that rather than time intelligence.
But yeah, so I use offset a lot, but if you're doing month to date and you're using offset, then it won't necessarily give you everything within that month. So if I wanted previous month would be -1 and it would give me everything in -1, whereas month would be 0, but we're only on the 4th. So the month 0 was 7 grand, whereas previous month was 30 grand. So I wanted the previous month to be the same as the current month for the number of days that were in existence. So you have to have a column in your calendar table that says show value is true, so that you can then say, well, I only want the previous month up to the number of days that I'm showing for the same month.
So have you used the new calendar? Sorry.
So
go ahead, Mark. No, I was curious if Sue tried the new calendar function.
No, I didn't, but I've got Jay coming on my user group on Tuesday to go through it, because one of the things that this company is going to want is weekly. And so you can do week to day, etc. But I feel that the new calendars will be much, much better. So Jay's on Tuesday, so I've got a list of questions for him. Cool. So I haven't used it yet, but I mean, there's so many things, aren't there? So I've been using visual calcs, and love. Yeah. Because sometimes, particularly for percentages, if I only want a percentage for that particular visualization, I don't have to build a model and think about, okay, what am I filtering in and out and what do I have to allow for? I can just do it within that visual, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. I had a use case today or last couple of days where I would have loved to have used the new user-defined functions in DAX.
Yeah.
I'm really wary about using those sorts of preview features. So it's just, it was some of the time intelligence stuff, just reusing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And it would just been so nice. Which has just been, so yeah, that reusable functions that I would have built, but there we go. Sort of, you'll get there eventually.
I want a KPI card that's really easy. So I've been
SVG.
Yeah, I know. I've been
pre-built, but again, how much do you trust it?
Yeah.
I was surprised the number of different. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, if you're handing it over to people, though, you've got to give them something that's within their remit. Ish.
Yeah.
So I decided for this one I wasn't going to. But Kurt Booler's got some brilliant little reports on different KPIs that you can copy or understand how he's built them and then remake your own.
I do find you can build sort of most of the things you want to build, you can build with the standard visuals. And they might not be exactly what you want, but then you can get there. And like you say, just it's built in, it's easier to make people understand it. So there's definitely a trade-off in terms of a decision around how slick do you want it to look versus how quick and easy to build and maintain.
That's what I've gone for. I've gone for standard and using DAX rather than SVG, just because it's they're newish to Power BI, so I don't want to overwhelm them.
Fair enough. Sorry, Cristian, you were going to say?
I forgot.
We cut you off too many times. Right, I think we need to wrap it up, actually. So anything else? Any other pressing news? Anything coming up for anybody? What's happening? Christmas live stream will be the 18th. Time to be confirmed, maybe half an hour later than normal. I say normal. People listening have no idea what time we're recording. So it's probably UTC 12:30, I think.
Are we doing it live? We're doing it live, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll do a live one. We'll get some chat going on. So 12:30 UTC, I think, on the 18th.
Ooh, have a little glass of bubbly.
Only 1 hour.
Yeah, we'll try and do a quiz. Well, we might run over a little bit. So
we've got to prepare questions, haven't we?
Yes, it's 5 questions each, everybody. Giles, if you're listening, 5 questions. Thank you.
Kahoot or what?
We'll do a 20-question quiz of the year on something, anything to do with Excel, Power BI, or Data World, or even the podcast. So whatever you fancy, a bit of a mix.
We would like to participate from the YouTube chat with the Kahoot.
Yeah. We shall Kahoot it or similar.
We'll Kahoot it or similar.
Make sure everybody can play. Cool. Sorry, anything else, anybody?
Oh, keep your fingers crossed for me. I'll find out early next week if I've got into London.
Oh, good stuff.
So everyone, positive vibes, please.
For the marathon, not for something else. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, I've done a slightly different outro. So folks watching on YouTube, we've got another little outro coming on. So with that, Cristian, thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And everybody else, we'll catch you in a couple of weeks and tune in for the live Christmas special. Okay. See you, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I got these tables messy as can be, columns wide and jumbled, nothing's clear to see. I need my data clean, lined up and precise. Gonna unpivot these fields, oh baby, that's nice. You gotta unpivot, make my data sing. From those cluttered columns, let the insides ring. Transforming tiny, now it's all in use. With the Unpivot, baby, I shake off those data blues. Stack 'em neat and slim, that's the way to go. Turn wide to long, let the good data